Buffs. They're very important in Smite, but a lot of people don't know exactly what they do. Well, there are 3 different types of buffs. Regular buffs, which are 5 different versions. One of each buff have their own camp, except for speed, which has 2 camps. These last for 2 minutes. Next are the side buffs. These are the buffs that are in the side lanes. These last for 1 minute. And the final type is the fire giant buffs. These last for 4 minutes. Starting off in the solo lane, we have the blue buff. This grants 4 mana per second. Each time you hit an enemy god, you gain 2% of your missing mana. Your damaging abilities deal 5 true damage to lane minions, and jungle bosses take 3% current HP from your damaging abilities. Speed buff increases your movement speed by 10%, but it also gives 2% extra movement speed after getting a kill or an assist on a jungle minion. This stacks 3 times for a maximum of 6% movement speed, but this only lasts for 15 seconds. Red buff is fairly simple. It increases your power by 10% and then an additional 10 magical or 5 physical power. Green buff grants 100 health and mana, plus an additional 30 for each 50 protections you have. It also gives 10 HP5 and MP5. The last regular buff is the purple buff. This increases your attack speed by 15% and increases your basic attack damage by 15 if you're a magical, or 12 if you're a physical. Now with the side buffs, we have the silver buff, which is the one next to solo lane. This one increases your cooldown reduction by 5% plus 0.75% per level. So at level 1 it gives 5.75% and at level 20 it gives 20% cooldown. The other side buff is the gold buff, which gives you a shield worth 50 HP plus 20 per level and gives 5 of each protection per level. At level 1 the shield will be 70 and will give you 5 protection, and at level 20 it gives 450 shield and 100 protections. The final buff is the fire giant buff. You get this for defeating the fire giant. The standard buff gives you 75 magical power or 55 physical power. You also regen 3% of your health and 2% of your mana every 5 seconds, and damage versus structures is increased by 25%. After 30 minutes the fire giant becomes enhanced, becoming harder to kill, but the buff is also better. So the enhanced fire giant buff grants 100 magical power or 65 physical power, regens 3% health, 2% mana every 5 seconds, and damage against structures is increased by 40%, and you also ignore 75% of backdoor protections.